I'd like to talk briefly, family, on a topic that I believe is critical for our survival and even our transformation as a people. And it's about where we're looking for our answer, where we're looking for our clarity, where we're looking for our validation, right? Too often, I believe we've been trained to look outside of ourselves, outside of our community's history and culture for direction, for solutions, for prescription. But the truth is, everything we need already exists within us. Any conversation you have where people say, oh, we need to do A, B, and C, I can almost guarantee you 90% of the time the things we're saying we need, we have. But they're just under supported. We don't know about them, and they may be disconnected, or we don't currently have them. But if you go back in our history, you will find that those things did exist. Now, the problem, let's start here. The problem is one of being externally dependent. Spiritually, we've been convinced that our answers lie in European cosmology, theology, Arab traditions. Any outsider pops up, we checking out their gurus, their experts, right? Their best-selling authors, their traditions, their fashion, right? Looking for a sense of identity. Economic, we're told the key to our success is chasing their bag or plugging into their capitalist system, right? That wasn't made for us, that actually was made on our backs, right? Their economic wealth was built on our exploited labor, right? Never designed for us. Or we're told that we should chase our validation from their mainstream institutions. Politically, many of us think our freedom will come if we vote for the right person, we appeal to the courts, or we wait for the government, right, to get a clue and to develop or grow this conscience. And what all of these different things have in common is they are externally driven, externally motivated. We're focusing on things outside of ourselves, and in many cases outside of our realm of influence or our sphere of control, right? We keep looking out there. We're expecting others to heal us, others to teach us, others to guide us and validate and liberate us, which is one of the reasons why social media platforms are so big right now. You know, the studies show when people see, oh, I got so and so many likes, or so and so did this, dopamine is released in our brains. Did you know that? Dopamine, right? Creating feelings of worth. What I said matters. Somebody see, right? Dopamine, right? And family, I want to humbly suggest that, at least in my opinion, this mentality that we're always seeking outside of ourselves and never really seeing the beauty and value right here is very dangerous, and is actually a form of slavery, chaining our minds and our ability. I want to, and you know, I've gone into this Wizard of Oz piece for many years now. And some of you will probably, oh, here you go with the Wizard of Oz. I don't blame you. I want to take it in a slightly different direction. You know that I use a metaphor most of us are familiar with, which is the Wizard of Oz, because from, I think, 1955 to up to 1990, for like 40 years or more, this movie was shown every Christmas season. So of all the movies in existence, a lot of generations of us came up watching that movie at our family get-togethers. That's why I use it, because it's relevant to many of us. Many of us know the basic characters and the basic plot. And on the surface, it seems like a mere children's story, but if you dig deeper, you'll see it's a powerful lesson, not just about different archetypes in our community that we need to address and resolve, but also this idea of being externally focused, externally driven, pleasure seeking. Gotta get something out there, right? And I want you to think about it. So Dorothy and her friend, I think you all know who they are, they each believed they were missing something important. This is the foundation. All of these main characters all believed that they lacked something that was important. If they thought they lacked something that was unimportant, we wouldn't have a real compelling story. It's the fact that these things are very important and they felt they didn't have it that makes the story, right? Scarecrow, no brain, we know that means no intelligence. Tin Man, no heart, we know that means no sensitivity, no empathy, no compassion. The lion, well, he was the cowardly lion, so we know that means he had no courage. And poor Dorothy, she ain't know where the hell she was. She had no direction. We might say purpose, direction. She was trying to find her way home. She was on the right track. Of all of them, she was trying to get home. That's an important piece, right? So they set out on this long journey because the Munchkins tell them, if you're trying to get your problem solved, if you want education, if you want clarity on your spirituality, if you want more money, if you want better health, you got to go to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. I'm throwing these things in because I know these are things we all want and aspire. That the Wizard of Oz, who none of them met, none of them knew his background, they were told that he could do everything. It was almost like he was presented as being God, this kind of all-powerful, all-knowing being that could grant any wish, right? And notice that he's external. Not only is it external, but he's at a distance. You got to go through the yellow brick road. You got to travel. You can't just tap in, get quiet, with nobody around, with no money, and connect with this being. You got to go far to the external place and meet the being, right? So they set out on this journey to meet this great wizard who they're thinking this guy is going to give me, the courage, the intelligence, or wisdom, the direction, the way to get home, or this kind of sensitivity and compassion that I feel I'm lacking. And what did they discover? The wizard was a fake the whole time. And not only was the wizard a fake, but the fake wizard even told him, at least he was honest. He says, look, I can't give y'all anything. Why? Because he didn't have the power to give them these things. He furthermore says, all the things you seek, you already have. And so now, because he says that, an external source says that to them, now they will quickly reflect, like, yeah, the scarecrow is quoting all types of philosophy all of a sudden, right? They were now reminiscing on how the lion, who was cowardly, actually created many of the plans for fighting back and defending them. Very interesting, right? Because the external source told them they were smart or courageous. Now they, oh yeah, I am smart. So even in that very transformative moment, it's still because someone else told them. They didn't come to that decision, for themselves, right? Tin Man is sensitive, Lion is brave, and Dorothy, when it's time for her to get home, the good witch, symbolic, of course, of our so-called master teachers, our leaders, our relatives that's pushing us, telling us, guiding us, told her, oh, baby girl, all you got to do is say, what? There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Family, that's the whole point of the movie. They take you through all of these things, but they're really trying to tell you that this is not just about Dorothy in Kansas in the farmhouse and she gets taken to some weird place, right? It's about recognizing the importance and the place of how we draw power, real power, not the fake, fabricated, perpetrating a fraud, fake confidence, fake power, not that fake stuff. I'm talking about that real stuff that gets you through when you don't have a dime in your pocket, when you don't have no designer clothes, when ain't nobody applauding you, saying your name, saying your name, saying your name. That real stuff that comes from within. It's telling you that real power, that healing, that clarity comes from here and here. The answers are never out there. That's not to say, of course, that we can't go to their university, listen to the experts. I listen to the experts all the time, all types of people. Learn from everybody. Truth is truth. But it's saying that your real answers are right here and here. And when I say here and here, I'm not meaning that literally. I'm saying within your culture, our history, our customs, our traditions, many of which we are disconnected from or frowned upon because we've been taught that they're primitive, that's old school, all types of things. People make attempts to try to make some of our ancient or old school teaching irrelevant. And they'll do this with all types of, oh, you an old head. Oh, that's that old. Oh, man. Okay, no problem. See what all those generations were producing. Don't ever go by what people say. Look at the fruit. Go back to ancient Africa, to antiquity, and look at all of these great marvels, the wonders of the world. See how many of them are African, and ask yourself, what type of people did it take to produce civilizations that lasted 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years? America is not even 300 years old yet. 300 years. We're talking about civilizations of antiquity that are thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. What type of people would it take to create civilizations that produce artifacts and art and language and monuments that are still standing despite thousands of years of rain and climate change and erosion and people trying to shoot noses off statues? I mean, what type of people create that? A disorganized people? I can't do that type of people? A lacking confidence people? A fearful people? I don't think so. So let's bring this home, family. This is a metaphor for our people, for black people. And I really hope somebody watching this or who will listen or watch it later really feels me on this, because this is very personal to me. It's political to me, and I think it is one of our greatest yet simplest metaphors to understand something very deep that can transform our lives, our families, our communities, our institutions, and give us backbone again, and a sense of faith and confidence. We black people, Africans, new Africans, so-called African American, we've been told for centuries that we are lacking, never lacking in bad things. When it comes to bad things, we've been told we are the epitome, right? And some of us even say some of the nonsense. We the only people that don't read. That's a lie. First of all, a whole lot of us read. And even if you look at those of us who don't read, we're not the only people who don't read, right? We the only, it's always something negative. You never hear, we're always negatively exceptional. We're never positively exceptional, right? So we've been told we lack culture. We've been told we lack leadership. We've been told we lack vision. We lack literacy. Everything that a nation and civilization needs. We lack math performance. We lack everything good. Family cohesion. Everything you could think of that a civilization needs. We lack that, supposedly. And so what do? Because in addition to tell us what we don't have, some of those same sources, and I'm talking to be very clear, institutions, churches, school, governments, intellectuals, books, scholarships, museums, libraries, should I keep going? They also tell us that if you primitive Negroes, you backwards, primitive, can't read, write, don't like nothing good, just like to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. Negroes, if you want to get where we are, you got to go to these institutions. You got to read these books. You know, I had a job as a community organizer, and this white girl told me, you ever heard of Saul Alinsky? And at that point, I hadn't. I said, no. So he's the godfather of organizing. You didn't hear him? I said, really? Oh, no. Because, see, in my mind, the godmother of organizing was Ella Baker. Who's that? Right? See, it's that thing. It's like, no, we're going to set up for you the landmarks, culturally, politically, historically, the people, the saints, the scholars, the artists, the dances, everything that you're supposed to bow to and recognize as being superior, the standard, even things like beauty, even things like body types, right? They're going to set that forth for you. And what they're subliminally saying without explicitly saying it is, if you want to be primitive, backwards, dysfunctional, pathological, incorrigible, can't save you no matter what, if you want to be like us, masterful, exemplary, sophisticated, cultured, civilized, you must do as we say. You must pray as we pray. You must see the creator, the divine, as we see it, right? You must appreciate this art form and look down on that one, which is your own, right? So now what do? We chase economic models. We become part and parcel of economic models that exploit us and enrich everybody else. We chase religious concepts that the white people who created it, don't even fully understand, because they stole it from Africa and didn't understand the metaphors and allegory and took them literally. So they don't even understand it, teaching it to us, and got continental Africa changing their names, changing their customs, looking down on their original oh, that's polytheistic. No, it's not. They didn't worship several gods. Those deities were metaphors. They believed in a one true and living God. Those other things was their way of saying that this force, this divine energy, exists in everything. So they gave those things different names to represent different qualities. But much of what our ancestors taught, scientists now bear witness to, because our ancestors taught that God ain't out there. The God is everywhere, which means it's in you, it's in your dog, it's in your cat, it's in the things you make. Everything is alive. Well, of course, Europeans thought we were crazy. But now the European physicists say what? That even in this phone, inanimate, still, there's millions of molecules that's moving around very rapidly. You can't even see them. Moving so fast. If we could get a right microscope, you would see there are things moving rapidly in your fork, your plate, yourself. You could be dead asleep. Trillions of molecules rapidly moving, right? The physicists of today are now bearing witness to what our ancestors said thousands of years. But who are we? What do we know, right? But they got us chasing behind the babies on the planet. So to put this into perspective, as an example, say that you're in a household. You got a mom, a dad, you got two teenage siblings, and you got a 1-year-old baby. Picture how dysfunctional, filthy, backwards, dangerous, unproductive your household would be if you all, with superior life experience, know-how, expertise, followed the lead of the 1-year-old baby, and you mimic the 1-year-old baby, and you participate in activities and mimic the actions of the 1-year-old baby. Like, just really, I know it's crazy, but think about that, because if you can grasp that, that is what we are actually doing when we bow down to their concepts of religion, their concepts of archaeology, anthropology, geometry, science, art, and I can keep going. These people are babies on this planet. And I am backed up by tons of scientific evidence. Tons and tons of scientific evidence. They are relatively speaking, babies on the planet. Trace ancient African civilizations back and then trace European civilizations back. Challenge me, prove me wrong. And then when you see the great difference, you'll see. See how far back skeleton of what we would consider Homo sapiens or Homo sapiens sapiens go back in Africa, and see what you find in Europe. And you're going to see what I'm saying. They are literally and metaphorically the babies on this planet who, as all babies do, took from and mimicked the adults in the household. So unless you are a really backwoods household, the adults regulate the house. The children fall into line because they're learning from the master teachers relative to that house. How do we eat? How do we greet? What are the rules of being polite? What's the etiquette? How do we spend our time? All that they get from the adults. The adults are modeling it. The kids see it, hopefully, and mimic it, and the adults are teaching, right? But this whole world has that backwards. We're following the babies who actually got what they got from us, right? And then claimed it as their own. That would be as if I had a basketball, or let's say my father had a basketball. He's really good in ball. And let's say he left his basketball somewhere in my room, my closet. Let's say we have a house. He left it in the attic. Then I came up, I'm playing with the ball, but I was more of a football player, so I didn't play with it a lot. I put it back in the attic. Then let's say I have a little girl. She grows up, she likes ball, she's playing with the ball, she's little, and she thinks that this ball is hers, that she discovered, that she put the ball in. You say, no, baby girl, I was playing with that ball when I was a little kid, and that's really my father's ball. That's your grandfather's ball, who was playing with that before you or I were thought about. That's kind of what we're talking about. You have a group of people who are presenting cosmology and all of these different things, philosophy, all these concepts, naming it art forms, cubism, all they naming shit, not realizing, or maybe realizing, that before you were thought about, there were Africans that did all those art forms, that had written language, that put art on wall, and art that was, shall we say, accurately representative of the things they were drawing. So birds that looked like actual birds, a woman that looked like an actual woman, people's complexions that looked like their actual complexion on wall, way before these people were even born. This is really what this story, in my mind, is really talking about when you get past all the colors and the little jingles and the colorful costumes and all that. It's really talking about that. It's saying that our culture, our history, has examples of brilliance, great ingenuity, great innovation, great resourcefulness, right? Our culture, rooted in Africa, reshaped through our struggle and our experiences here in America and throughout the diaspora, carries a wisdom that can heal, that can give us real answers to the things we see in our home, in our communities, in this world, real life answers that can guide us. Our politics, when rooted in self-determination and liberation-oriented, not I want to get in with white folk and show I'm just as good as them. No, not that. Self-determination, right? Not assimilation. Show us blueprint for our liberation. Somebody says, man, I wish there was a handbook for parenting. Well, I don't know if there is one, but if you study the history of black parents and how people who couldn't read or write were yet able to raise children who could read and write with great proficiency and created schools, then you'll get a parent. You'll put it together. It may not be one source, but if you do the due diligence, you'll find evidence of that in our history. Man, I wish I knew how we could build business and don't have no real money between us. Oh, okay. So you need to study the history of black cooperative enterprises and see how people who couldn't read or write and didn't have 2 dimes to scrape together put their little pennies together and started mutual aid societies that provided health care benefits, death benefits. It's there. It may not be in one book, But if you do the research, you will find answers. And these are not, how do I want to say, these are not just theoretical solutions. These are things that our people actually have done. But just like the little baby that found the ball, and they think that they discovered it, that's how we are too. Oh man, we need to have this. Yo, we had that. We have that, or we had that. Somebody just has to go do the research. And many people in different points in time have documented what they did. This is how Du Bois was able to write a whole book on all of these black cooperative enterprises, started by people who were illiterate, but not because they chose to be, because they were forced to be, and yet still started these institutions, right? He did the research. If we want to understand who we are for real, not what we wear. Who are you? I didn't ask you what you wear. I didn't ask you where you went to school. I didn't ask you what your zodiac sign was. I didn't ask you what your gender was. I said, who are you? And whose are you? Totally different questions, boy. That's why on job interviews, that throws people off. They don't know how to answer that because their answer's been given to them by other people, right? But who are you really and whose are you? When we answer that, we go into our history and really develop an appreciation, and we get rid of that self-loathing, the fake confidence, the perpetrating the fraud up. Because who you are is who you are wherever you are, whatever you do. Whatever you do. When you wash the dish, that's who you are. When you use the bathroom, that's who you are. When you give a great speech in public, that's who you are. When you're all alone studying or not studying or bullshitting or partying, that's who you are. Who you are is who you are. Who are you? Why are you who you say you are? Are you really who you say you are? What do we need to be who we say we are, right? This means we don't really need to beg, steal, borrow, or cheat. We don't need to lie to ourselves. We don't need to front and be these fake experts, fake this. We don't have to do that because we come from a history where we had the real thing, baby. And you know when you got the real thing, when people come to you from all over the world. I'm not talking about individuals now. I'm talking about as a people. You go back and read Herodotus, Ibn al-Kahun, and all these different ancient historians that were non-African, by the way. And you read Gerald Massey has a whole volume, talks about all these Europeans and their thoughts about Africa and how they all came to the feet of Africa, to Timbuktu, the Grand Lodge and Luxor, right? To learn civilization and cultivation. Some people even say that the people we say are our personal Lord and Saviors, when there's this 15 to 20 years where we don't know, well, where was he between 12 and 33? Some people say that people like Jesus the Christ, the Buddha, and even some of the Indian deities were getting schooled and becoming initiates in African mysteries. Mystery only because they were sort of what we would call secret society. That the ancients believed that high level knowledge allowed you to do miraculous things, and that knowledge in the hands of idiots, narcissists, megalomaniacs, and egocentric people would be dangerous. So they kept that hidden from most of the population, and people had to prove themselves worthy in order to be enter those, where those people studied 30 to 40 years. Yeah, interesting. We have our own traditions of resistance, our own economic strategies, our own spiritual systems, our own leadership model, right? Now, so let me be clear. I'm not saying, I want to be very clear on this. I'm not saying we should not learn from others. I believe the opposite. I believe that knowledge is knowledge. If it's truth, if it's good for your mind, body, and soul and community, wherever you get it, you get it. Well, you got to get it from YouTube, magazines, holy books, supposedly, different institutions, schools, churches, mosques. Seek wisdom, right? But you need the special key to unlock some of that, because if you don't understand that a lot of the things that were written were encoded so that everybody would not have access to very powerful things because they didn't know. Some people got evil hearts. Some people will use, for instance, what we call the law of attraction or manifestation, right, to create great evil. Some people will use laws of propaganda to create fascist regime where you get normal people, decent people, to do some of the most horrendous things. So a lot, you have to have the understanding behind what you read to know this is coded. It's not to be taken literally, or you'll miss the whole point, right? So yes, we can learn from others. And we live in a global community. There's no way around that. Proof of that is the fact that when you drink coffee, chances are you ain't getting it from the United States. You like little gadgets, chances are that ain't come from the United States. The things we use, wear, A lot of it comes from other countries. We're a global community now. There's no way around that. So yes, we will have to interact with and learn from different people in different places. Nothing wrong with that. But the key is balance. Learn from others does not mean, it does not preclude us from learning from ourselves foundationally and primarily. It does not negate our need to cling fast to what grandma taught, making it even more recent. So we got to go all the way back to antiquity. What grandma taught, what auntie was trying to get across with those little sayings that you be like, why do you always say that? Oh, even a broken clock is right twice. Idle hands make the devil's workshop. Anybody heard that? Yeah, go back right even in your immediate family and you'll hear wisdom that echoes across generations of time that come from who? Us, our people, right? We should never abandon or neglect what we have. We should never dismiss what we have. We should not go around the world when our kids are going to these, some of them are going to go to all white schools. That's what it is sometimes. Some of them will be in jobs where it's mostly white folk. They should never go anywhere in this world thinking that they lack. Oh God, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here. They should be grateful, but they should know their ancestors paved the way. Before these people were a thought in world history, their ancestors were here, right? Before these people were in what we call the United States of America, we have ample evidence now, linguistically, in terms of anthropology, even in terms of genetics, to know that our people were here first too. Yeah, man, like there's a lot we don't know, a lot we were taught that wasn't true, but we know now, right? And the moment we believe that someone else's culture, institutions, wise sayings, or whatever, hold the keys or answers to our issues is the moment we're lost. That's when we're walking down that yellow brick road looking for the white Arab, Asian, or whatever wonderful Wizard of Oz, who's gonna also ultimately either tell you or show and prove to you, I can't give you what you already got. And that giving you what you already got is symbolic. It doesn't mean that you may have exactly what you're looking for, but it means that you have places in your tradition, in your history, maybe even in your own family line that have what you're looking for, that you don't have to go out there. We want to know how to build business. You know, many of us have family lines where we had entrepreneurs right in our family that built businesses, illegal and legitimate. And if we were to trace and reconnect and reconstruct our family history, I'm talking about our immediate family history, we would find answers to problems of how can I make extra money? How can I? Yeah, absolutely. Built organizations. Think about the Underground Railroad. Underground, it was secretive. A vast national network transporting enslaved Africans to so-called free territories that involved white people, even involved free black people who were literate, people of substance who had money and had homes. And these people were able to create this secretive system of networking, of transporting, which involved food, direction, secret codes so that enslaved Africans knew that this house is owned by one of the members of the railroad. They had ways that they marked trees, certain types of candles in parts of the home that they would light to let people know we're down. Think about that. No social media, no GPS. I mean, really think about what that says about us, right? Okay, so the foundation is ours. We laid the foundation. Now, we may have been disconnected from it. Those blueprints may be a little old and withered and oxidized, crackling and falling apart. But if we do the work, I guarantee you're going to find, in many cases, exact answer to the things you're looking, whether it's I need pride, I need courage, I need motivation, I'm going through so much, oh my God, I don't know how I could do it. And then you read Frederick Douglass. Oh my God. And you think you going through it? You think you going through something? And you read about a person who's whipped every day, doesn't know where his father is, doesn't know the day he was born, shipped around. Yeah. Or Harriet Jake, so desperate to be free that instead of just running away, fearing she'd get caught, she hid in her slave master's attic for years. Nobody could find her. And then ran away. Or William Box Brown, who had himself nailed into a wooden box with a few holes to get air, a little bit of something to nibble on, shipped to free territory on a boat in a box, and emerges in his destination, taking out the box in a free land. So even if you're somebody's like, man, I got so much, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, you're anxious, I got too much, look into your history, there's answers. How were they able, with all the things they had going against them, to be able to not only basically survive, but have the wherewithal to audaciously dream that they could create a better tomorrow for themselves with everything against. The answers are there in that history. I want to give a takeaway. Now, going back to the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy was feeling anxious. All her friends got their answers. Oh, you got courage, you got sensitivity, you got intelligence, but she was still left, okay, but how do I get home? Where's my aunt? And the good witch, Glinda says, from the north, says, no, say there's no place at home. Believe it, right? Okay, that's the whole point of the movie. And if you look at our spiritual system, that's the point of our spiritual. That even the greatest power that we understood on earth, we might call the all, the great I am, whatever you call it, existed everywhere, but also existed within you. And that when you want to talk to that being, you didn't have to go to no special place, read a special book, go to a special person with a special degree in it. All you had to do was turn the lights out by closing your eyes, go to a place of silence with music or without, breathe slowly, and go within. Because that thing that's all powerful and all knowing is in you. All living thing, right? In Star Wars, they call it the Force. And Yoda explains to young Skywalker that this Force connects everything. And it exists in every living, everything, including you, right? And that if you believe and you tap into that, you can create all types of seemingly miraculous things. Well, if you look at our history, you're going to see people achieving things there is no possible way they were supposed to have been able to achieve. So even when you talk about cosmology, there's no place like home. How am I going to get the money to get to school? There's no place like home. How are we going to create this vision? There's no place like home. How are we going to reclaim our families and get our kids out of jail and out of... There's no place like home, right? We have the brilliance, the courage, the sensitivity, and the direction. But we need to rediscover it, reclaim it, nurture it, and act on it, family. The work of liberation does not begin or end with us seeking outsiders' points of view, worldviews, institutions, money. It's right here, inside ourselves, turning inward, inside our communities, inside our history and culture. Another metaphor. Take your human body. Take something like a disease, a cold, a virus. When a virus comes, do you got to call the police? You got a cold virus. You sneeze. Do you got to call 911 and say, oh my God, this virus is killing me. Get y'all help? Whatever created us had such power and wisdom. We have our own built-in security that defends our bodies against attackers internally. That sacrifices some are casualties, some of themselves casualties of war. They're gonna die, but they go willingly, right? In order to form, once they get in tight with this alien virus, they mix and mingle, they get killed off, but then they learn its code. And then what does it do? It makes your whole body what? Immune to the outside threat. You have a technology center, respiration, power plant, everything in your self-contained body as an individual to not only have life, but if you get with the right person, hope to reproduce life. I don't know if y'all seeing where I'm going, but it's a metaphor that what you see in the creator is in us, fam. So the question now becomes, where are you looking? Who are you? Whose are you? Who you trying to be? Are you seeking your answers from fake ass wizards who may have this degree and that experience, but they ain't coming with that realness? They ain't connected to what you connected to. They have malevolent and nefarious intentions for you. You connecting to them who despise your presence, or you connecting to Dr. Ben Yosef Jacquinot, W.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, Brother Malcolm, Sister Asada, Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker? Who you connecting to? Because what I'm telling you is that these people, their biographies, their autobiographies, the documentaries on them, the ones that are done well, left blueprints for us, family. They're there for you to study and research, and with all this AI and technology, there is no reason why, if we don't have a question, we can't go to it. Now, it's not as quick as ChatGPT, but if you were to do a research paper and say, man, how can we create businesses with not a lot of money, where let's say more than one person owns it and has say, and you did the research, you would find answers. Now, you'd have to use today's ingenuity, because times change, so you'd have to maybe make things more relevant to this time, but you're going to find answers. Leave the fake wizards, fam. Once we recognize that home is where our true power is, nothing and no one, including ourselves, will be able to stop us or con us. That's another story. So it's the brother Agyei Tyehimba with Harlem Liberation School, family. I hope this message spoke to you. If it did, share it with somebody who needs this reminder. And remember, fam, despite all the things going on, despite all the fake wizards, With all they fake qualifications, there's no place like home. Particularly when your home, you can proudly say, my home is Africa, the cradle of all civilization, the cradle of humanity, period. Peace and Black Power, family. Don't forget to subscribe to Harlem Liberation. Have a beautiful